Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're putting together a kind of field guide for a career that's way more of an adventure than you'd probably guess. And we're going to do it by listening to the story of someone who's right in the thick of it, engineer Amirabas Mahmodzadeh. His experiences give us this totally unfiltered look into what the world of mineral exploration is really like.
All right, so let's get right into it. The wild thing is, our guide's journey didn't kick off with some deep, lifelong passion for rocks and geology. Nope. It all started with a kind of random decision when he was signing up for classes. And that's a surprisingly common story, right? You just pick a path, and all of a sudden, you find yourself on an adventure you never, ever saw coming. Okay, first things first. We're going to tackle a problem that, well, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have run into no matter what you studied. It's that huge gap between what they teach you in a classroom and what you actually need to know to do the job out in the real world. Now, check this out, because this slide really nails that gap we were just talking about. So engineer Mahmodzadeh points out that in his line of work, a supercritical skill like advanced geostatistics, well, it requires a prerequisite. But here's the kicker. That prerequisite is just an optional elective in your undergrad years. It's this major flaw in how the curriculum is set up. You could totally miss the one class that's the foundation for everything else, just because nobody flagged how absolutely essential it was. And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures that frustrating loop students get stuck in. It's like a professional catch-22, right? Oh, you'll learn that later. Then later, it's, wait, you should have learned that already. It leaves you scrambling to catch up, all in your own time. And honestly, this isn't just about geology. It's a classic story of people falling through the cracks of an education system that just hasn't quite caught up with what the industry actually needs today. All right, so let's shift gears. We're moving away from the, theoretical headaches of the classroom and stepping right into the very real, very practical dangers of working in the field. This is where the real tests happen, and your opponent is Mother Nature herself. So let me ask you this. What's the absolute worst that can happen when your tech fails you in the middle of nowhere? And this isn't just some hypothetical question. For an exploration engineer, the answer to that could literally be life or death. Your gear is everything, and when it goes dark, you are suddenly, profoundly alone. This brings us to a really harrowing story from Mahmodzadeh. He was out on a survey deep in the Sistan and Baluchistan desert, and his GPS just died. And because he was so focused on that little screen, he hadn't actually memorized the landscape around him. In a single moment, he went from being on the job to being completely lost. It's just a brutal reminder of the kinds of risks that are basically written into the job description. So here's the real takeaway. Survival out there has nothing to do with your grades. It's all about meticulous prep, knowing what's going on around you, and trusting your team completely. I mean, that dead GPS, you want to know why it died? He was trying to squeeze one more day out of some old batteries. A tiny, tiny decision to save a few bucks that almost cost him everything. And it's not just about these sudden, heart-stopping crises. The day-to-day job is an absolutely relentless physical grind. You're constantly fighting the elements, hiking through insane terrain, dealing with extreme weather. It just demands this incredible level of physical toughness and mental grit day in and day out. Okay, so we've heard about the gaps in education and the life and death risks, which kind of leads to the big question, right? How do you even get your foot in the door? Let's talk about that timeless problem every single new graduate faces. How am I supposed to get a job if I don't have any experience? So here's the pro tip from Mahmodzadeh. Stop thinking about your inexperience as a weakness. Instead, you've got to frame it as your greatest strength. You pitch yourself as someone with a mind that's fresh and ready to learn, someone with a new perspective who isn't stuck in the old, this is how we've always done it mindset. You've got the hunger and the drive to prove yourself. And you know what? To the right company, that's not a liability. That's a huge asset. That's a potential game changer. So, we've gone through the academic challenges, the real-world dangers, and even the strategy for getting hired. And that brings us to the last and maybe the most important question of all. And this one's personal. The big takeaway here is that success in this field, it's not just about what's on your degree. It really comes down to a specific mix of traits. You've got to have the kind of brain that loves complex math. You need the physical and mental toughness to handle some seriously harsh conditions. You have to be the kind of person who stays calm and figures things out when everything's going wrong. And maybe most importantly, you need a really good sense of humor for when, your buddy gets stuck on the side of a cliff. When you get right down to it, this isn't just a career. It's more like a calling, and it demands a very specific kind of person. It's going to test your mind, your body, and your spirit in ways you can't even imagine. So, now that you've seen the reality behind the degree, the final question is up to you. Do you have what it takes?